and very soon, next 4 to 5 days, my Supreme Court Constitution bench is going to deliver the marriage equality verdict.
This court cannot either strike down the constitutional validity of the Special Marriage Act or read words into the Special Marriage Act because of its institutional limitations. This court cannot read words into the provisions of the SMA and provisions of other laws, allied laws such as the Indian Succession Act and the Hindu Succession Act, because that would amount to judicial legislation. The court, in the exercise of the power of judicial review, must steer clear of matters, particularly those impinging on policy, which fall within the legislative domain.
The Supreme Court of India has said that it cannot legally recognize same-sex marriages. Now, the onus is on the Parliament to make the necessary laws to recognize same-sex marriages. The 5-judge Constitution bench comprising Chief Justice D.Y. Chandrachud, Justices S.K. Kaul, S.R. Bhatt, Hema Kohli and P.S. Narasimha heard the 21 pleas seeking legal sanction for same-sex marriage. The petitioners in the case wanted the court to grant the LGBTQIA+ community the same rights that are given to heterosexual couples, including adoption, inheritance, surrogacy rights, and the status of spouse in medical and financial matters. Instead, the court ordered the government to form a committee to consider granting same-sex couples specific rights and benefits. The Supreme Court limited the case to the Special Marriage Act of 1954 and stated that it would not deal with personal laws or the Hindu Marriage Act. Chief Justice has directed the government to ensure that the queer community is not discriminated against. Helplines and safe houses are created for the community to sensitize the public about queer rights and to ensure that intersex children are not forced to undergo operations. He also issued several directions to the police, like not forcing queer people to return to their families and offering due protection in case of genuine complaints of queer people against violence. Regarding adoption rights, the CJI noted that the law cannot assume that only heterosexual couples can be good parents, as it would be discriminatory against queer people under Article 15. Let us talk to Advocate Purna to understand the judgment and what it means for the LGBTQIA+ community.
First, I just wanted to understand what does the Supreme Court ruling means now for the LGBT community.
Basically, the petition that was filed in the Supreme Court asking for the Special Marriages Act to also allow for same-sex couples to get married, the petition has been dismissed. One has to look at what are the arguments that have been, put forward by each of the judges who have written these 4 judgments. That's one thing. But unanimously, some things stand out, which is that the Supreme Court has said that marriage is not a fundamental right. By and large, all of them have asked for a high-powered committee to be instituted by the union government, or also to look at it at the state legislature level, and which will examine the different benefits that need to accrue to same-sex couples and what are the scope of these benefits. But each judgment sets out a different kind of scope of work for the committee. So that remains to be seen, what the union government is going to do, on the basis of this judgment.
So what would be the step forward to this? Would it be a case with, would this recognition of same-sex marriage would be held in the hands of the Parliament? Like if only they make a law, would it be legalized, or what could be the other options?
Yeah, that's essentially what the Supreme Court is also saying, that, we have the power to judicial review of legislation, yes, but there is a limitation in that we cannot rewrite or redraft a law. So basically, whatever changes the petitions wanted to the Special Marriages Act, those changes will have to be brought in by the Parliament. And so now this entire struggle for same-sex marriage to be recognized has moved from the judicial realm to the political realm, and now it's a question of being able to mobilize, being able to do advocacy work with the government to see how best, the demands of the community will be met through the parliamentary process.
Also, one more thing, the Supreme Court bench has also spoke about adoption and not discriminating against queer people in terms of everything, be it in any space. Though there isn't a law as such, right? Like that completely prohibits the discrimination.
Yes, but then again, the bench had varying opinions on this. For example, Justice Chandrachud felt that the court has the power to amend the CARA rules. CARA rules are basically the adoption guidelines. And there's, like you said, there's absolutely no explicit bar under any law for same-sex couples to not be able to adopt.
Mm-hmm.
But there were other judges who didn't quite agree with that. In that they said that we don't have, as the Supreme Court, the power to amend this. They did not disagree that same-sex couples should have the right to adopt, but they said that this is not something which the judiciary can undertake as an exercise. And so there again, nothing has changed as such in terms of the legal position. So we'll have to see what kind of intervention the government is able to do, what kind of intervention the parliament is able to do to that will speak to the demands of the community.
Okay. Also, just to understand this, so this legalization can happen only through Special Marriage Act, or another law has to be framed to make sure that this can happen in our society. If you could help us understand that as well.
So that again is something. This was the simplest route for the community to approach the judiciary, asking for recognition of same-sex marriage. That is to go via Special Marriages Act. There were also suggestions made by different judges on the bench to see if we can explore the possibility of drafting a Special Marriages Act that caters specifically to the needs of the LGBTQI community. So this, like I said, has now moved to the political sphere, and what Parliament and state legislatures think can be done, that's what will decide the future course of action. So either of the two can be done, but we'll have to look at the merits and demerits of doing something like that. And the Supreme Court has also said that there have to be widespread consultations with the community, with different stakeholders, etc. So at this point, it might also be useful to speak to the community about what they think will, address their concerns best.
There is clearly a long way to go for the recognition of same-sex marriage in India.
You are enjoying all the social benefits and we are not enjoying the social benefits. You are so privileged because you are a woman and man, and we are so, very much enjoying that we belong to the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, intersex community. But the system of society was not understanding the real feelings, orientation, our choices, our attraction, our preferences. So how do you bring this discourse to the public realm was the so-called concern. And you know that from 2009 to 2013 to 2014 to 2018, the Supreme Court Constitution Bench and various judgments are in favor of the movement of sexual minority. So this is talking about the marriage equality petition, and I think we were keenly listening to the Supreme Court Constitution Bench verdict. I think I heartily welcome the verdict. I heartily welcome this observation, and I want to respect the differences. I think it's a long way to go. We are a struggling community. We are facing so much of challenges. There are still so much of hurdles coming through. There's so much of determinations coming through. How do you fight this? I think that's the only way that we can really, taking off all these judgments and the current Supreme Court Constitution verdict, it's an appropriate time for India to legalize marriages of the consensuality, willingness, and with consent. And on the issues of transgender petition is concerned, the Constitution bench is almost clear. I think it has also broken the stereotypical thinking perspective and making us to be part of the mainstream. I want to thank the Constitution bench of this country.
What is your opinion on this judgment of the Supreme Court? Do let us know in the comments below and subscribe to Daily Salar Digital for more such updates.